But there's something so sexy, but also just nurturing.
Ew.
About a woman who knows how to make a good meal.
Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for coming back if you've been here before, or hi, welcome if you're new. My name's Mickey, I'm a therapist, and we talk about therapy things on this channel. And today, we're talking about Abby Shapiro again, because there's some real problematic takes that I want to address. We're also doing a massive giveaway today, so stay tuned for more details about that. But before we get into the video, I want to give you guys a couple of disclaimers. First and foremost, all of the content on this channel, and in this video especially, is intended to be broad strokes, education, and learning. This isn't therapy, it can't be therapy, it never was therapy. However, there are always links in the description for you to go find your therapist of your very own if you would like that. Additionally, all of the religious, fundy, evangelical Christian content that we talk about on this channel is meant to be a commentary about fundamentalism, not about religion generally. I don't give a hoot what you do with your own religion. It can actually be beneficial for your mental health if you're doing it in a way that is safe and kind and validating. So this is not about regular religious people. This is specifically today about Abby Shapiro. So, okay, but all of that said, we are talking about Abby Shapiro today because she made a video that's basically like 5 steps to how to be a pick-me, and there's just like really a lot to unpack there. But before we do that, I want to say thank you to this week's sponsor, which is Bellesa. You guys know that I love Bellesa. I have worked with them before, and I am so excited to partner with them again because my friends at Bellesa and I are doing another giveaway where everybody who enters either gets a free vibrator or a free gift card for vibrator. No, I am not kidding. Bellesa is a by women company that is for all things sexuality, and their mission is to empower everyone to embrace, explore, and celebrate their sexuality. So of course we love that here. They have also sent me a bunch of new goodies that I am so excited to share with you. The first one that I want to talk to you about today is the Bellesa Thump. It is one of their new toys that they just released, and it is a new favorite of mine. This toy is designed to be the de facto replacement for all clit stimulating external vibes. I'm like, oh boy, is it a replacement. One of my favorite things about Bellesa toys is that they come in really discreet and cute charging cases. So not only is it like safe and protected in its little home, but it also has a USB charging port on the back that makes it really great to charge them in their safe little home. They're also such beautiful toys with really high quality silicone, so we love that. The Bellesa Thump is a toy that really does it all. It has a vibrating, suctioning, and a thump feature, so all ends of this toy are usable, and the controls, like all of the other Bellesa toys, are very intuitive and easy to operate. On one side of the thump is the clitoral suction end that utilizes Bellesa's Pleasure Jet technology, and then on the other side is the innovative thump technology, and then at the bottom is the vibrating end. So this toy really can do it all and like meet all of the needs that you have, and it's a great like one-size-fits-all toy, especially if you're traveling. You don't have to clutter up your bag with like 6 different things. This just does it all for you. The next toy that I want to introduce you to is the Bellesa Thrust. This toy is my new boyfriend. With 5 insertable inches, it can stimulate the G-spot pretty easily with a natural thrusting motion, and it also has a ring of swirling beads around the base. And like all of the other Bellesa toys, this is rechargeable and 100% waterproof. When we talk about luxe sex toys, this is that. Bellesa utilized thousands of pieces of community feedback in the process of creating this, and it shows. So if you are a person who is advanced or bored by boring sex toys, I really, really recommend that you try this because it is very much like revolutionary in my opinion. So if you want to experience the magic of free sex toys, go click the link in the description, enter the giveaway because Bellesa and I are giving away free gift cards for vibrators or actual whole free vibrators. I have seen you guys in the comments talking about your $35, $55, $75 gift cards. So go enter the giveaway, experience the magic of free sex toys, and show Bellesa some love for showing me some love. Thank you so much to Bellesa again for sponsoring this week's video. So let's go ahead and hop in. This Ken's job is thrust. Okay, let's talk about this Abby Shapiro video.
So in today's video, I want to talk about 5 ways that you can be sexy that have nothing to do with how you look. I think we get really bogged down in trying to look a certain way, focusing on our hair, on our makeup, on our clothes, and that stuff is, I think, important. But what's even more important is you and who you are. And being sexy isn't just about the way you look, it's also about how you present yourself and your personality. So I'm really excited to share these 5 ways you can be sexy today. I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's just get right into it.
First of all, this video has like 19 minutes of fucking preamble and it's only 8 minutes long. It's fascinating the way this woman can waste time. I guess I'm one to talk, but still. First and foremost, I want to talk about this like ways to be sexy. They don't have anything to do with the way that you look. Like, yes, full send on the idea that your personality, who you are, like what makes up your intrinsic personhood is something that should be important to you and to the people that you want to be in relationship with. However, I take issue with this take because I think what she's trying to do is like decenter our looks and stuff, probably from a modesty perspective, but it is still like very much a misogynistic take, this idea that like, I'm gonna give you tips about how to like change, not completely change, but like alter your personality a little to be more appealing to men, which like ew, that's gross. I really want to push back on this rhetoric that relationships are something that we should like be presenting ourselves in a particular way in the beginning to try to like trick someone into being interested with you. An ideal, real, long-lasting, healthy partnership is based around like a mutual understanding of like real parts of yourself and your identity and like those things just genuinely matching up, right? Like I don't want to devalue at all how difficult dating can be, but I really want to discourage people from doing the thing where we try to like morph ourselves into the person that the person across from you wants you to be, because that sucks. It's also like rude and hurtful to you, and also it's not a facade that anyone can keep up for any length of time. So like I disagree with the premise of this video generally.
Number 1. Be down for anything. So what I mean by this, something that my husband always said about me when we first got together was he loved that I was down to try new things, that I was always interested in what he had to talk about, and that I was game. That was always the phrase he used, that I was game. I was game to do anything. And there's something really sexy about that.
Blech. First of all, this is giving not like the other girls. I'm so cool. I don't get along with girls because I just don't like drama. And I'm just so much like the boys. Like, ew. First of all, this is strong pick-me behavior. This will become a theme in the video. She literally addresses this. It's very embarrassing. But I want to address this because I think for a lot of people, like, being a pick-me is not like a culturally smiled upon thing like it used to be. I think there's sort of this movement away from this, but I want to talk about like clinically why this is a bad thing. The first thing about this that's problematic in my opinion is that it devalues who you are as a person. We kind of already talked about this, but it's this insinuation that like the way that you just naturally are is not good enough, and so you should strive to change or alter parts of that to make people like you, because surely no man could ever be attracted to a woman. And like it's giving compet. It feels really like are the straights okay? And like I just really want to encourage people to move away from this attitude, because again, if your relationship is predicated upon a series of like falsified interactions, that's not going to bode well for your long-term relationship satisfaction or the relationship health. But also this is an anti-feminist take, right? Like this insinuation that the goal that all women or people should have is to be pleasing and interesting to men. Again, we already talked about this in terms of like how to make yourself more attractive to men. Like, ew, yuck, gross. The reality is that relationships, again, should be based upon like a mutual desire, connection, interest, respect for one another. And doing this like weird pickup artist stuff, this weird like pick-me stuff is just not helpful in that pursuit.
There's something sexy about a woman who isn't so self-conscious that she won't try new things, or a woman who's just really kind of laid back enough to allow there to be a plan B. Sometimes when you are just a little too type A, and I'm like that, I can be type A, it means that you also are not flexible, and it means you also are not open to new experiences. And it's really fun and exciting and sexy when a woman is much more open to these things that she's never tried before, or to trying something her husband is excited about, like going to a baseball game if she's never gone, or listening to a new song that he really likes and being open to hearing it. Just being the kind of woman who isn't always like everything has to be on my terms, on my schedule, and instead is a little bit more laid back, is like, yeah, let's try something new. I've never done that. That's really cool. I want to try it.
Okay, the other thing that I want to address here is that this is fundamentally problematic within this culture, because it comes coupled with the expectation that you as the woman will at all times be a caregiver and a mother to your spouse. So not only is it your job to situate the details, carry the mental load, do the laundry, do the cooking, do the child rearing, make sure all of the dates are scheduled, make sure everything's organized, clean, maintained, looked after, and also just be so cool, be so chill, be laid back, be one of the boys, and like, ew. Fucking ew. Like, not only is this problematic for all the reasons that I've already listed, it also asks women to do something that is like fundamentally unfair, which is be a mother but also be cool, be a caregiver but also be laid back, be type A and manage all of the details for this man who surely is such an oaf he could never take care of your calendar, but also be ready to have a plan B, plan C, be cool to go with the flow. This is not fucking fair. First of all, because some people are very much just type A, and like, yes, generally is it a good idea, goal, whatever, to work towards having some comfort with plans going up in flames, with things not working out the way that we planned, with also being like open to trying new things and sort of moving outside your comfort zone a little. Yes, very much so. Like that's its own thing. But also for a variety of fucking reasons, sometimes trauma included, that's not a feasible expectation for people, especially in new relationships. Being like down to try anything can sometimes be actually unsafe, if not physically or like in a concrete way. It can feel unsafe to us and cause us some mental distress. And so this expectation is not fair. This is shitty and weird, and just like a strange hill to die on, in my opinion. And also, again, just within this cultural environment does not make sense. It's not a feasible expectation, and it's a very sexist one also.
And just getting excited about new experiences. I think that one of the sexiest things that a woman can do is to be excited, to be happy about being alive. That is just so attractive, and it really attracts a man's attention, is a woman who's excited to be here and just wants to enjoy life.
Okay, the other problem that I take with this is that it feels like your expectation as the female partner is to soothe the ego of your male partner. If he wants to listen to a song, prop him up. Be excited, babe. If he wants to watch a movie, be excited. Go to that movie. And like, why? If your interests don't align, that's fine. Another reality of healthy, happy relationships is that we have community outside of our relationship. So if you don't want to see another Christopher Nolan film, he can go see it with his friends, right? Like that's perfectly fine and normal, and something that we should be willing to accept in healthy, happy relationships. You don't have to be the cool girl and watch Oppenheimer for the fucking third time if you don't want to. That's okay. That doesn't make you uncool. And also this expectation that it's your job to do that just serves to reinforce this rhetoric that it's your job as the female partner to soothe, to smooth, ruffle his feathers and make him feel important. And like, ew, men are not children. Men don't need to be caretaken. And if the person that you're in a relationship with insists that they do, I would very much encourage that person to do some inner reflection, because the role of a partner is not to be your parent, not to be your caregiver, but to be an equal who you respect, that treats you equally, that shares in the equal mental load, physical load, and like household tasks and all of that kind of stuff. Because also the problem with this like pick me attitude of like, I'll just be so cool and laid back, is that A, it's transactional. It's predicated upon this expectation that if I do A, you will do B, and sometimes that doesn't end up working out. And also that's a fucked up attitude to go into relationships with. Don't treat your partner like a piggy bank. But B, it also breeds resentment. After doing this for years and years and years and years, it is entirely possible that you'll end up in a place of feeling like I am the one who continually sacrifices, right? I'm the one who hypes up your interests, who goes to baseball games, who does all of this stuff to try to make... Listen, it's fine. Anyways, my keys fell down and scared the shit out of me. But the point that I'm making is that after a certain number of years of feeling like you're the one who sacrifices, and your partner doesn't return that sacrifice for you, because we're viewing relationships in this transactional way, it breeds resentment. It can cause us to have a really deep-seated anger and a wound in the relationship that requires like equal attention and care to soothe and to work through. And that's a real problem, especially in this culture where, like, let's be honest, men, especially in this like fundamentalist thing, are probably not the people who are willing to go to therapy and talk openly about their emotions and their deep feelings. So this is a problematic expectation from the outset.
So that is number one. Number two is be a good cook. A woman who knows her way around the kitchen. Now that's pretty sexy. I think nowadays a lot of women take this sort of sad pride in not being able to cook. They're like, oh, I've never picked up a pot or a spoon and made, a delicious meal. I don't know how to do that, and I prefer takeout. But there's something so sexy, but also just nurturing,
Ew.
about a woman who knows how to make a good meal. Everybody knows that men like to be fed. It is very important to them. They always say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Which is like an old misogynistic cliche that I don't think anybody actually abides by. And if they do, that's a problem.
So if that's the case, it's really lovely and sexy when a woman knows how to do that. And so buy some books or watch some YouTube videos. Teach yourself how to cook if you don't know already. It's a skill that you will always need, that is so valuable, and it's also very sexy.
So why aren't we encouraging men to learn how to cook? Why is the expectation that you be the nurturing one? Because it feels very much like perpetuating this dynamic where the female partner's job is to be a mother to their partner and the male partner's job is to just like, I don't know, exist. Like, this is a problem.
Number 3 is be confident in who you are. Honestly, this is probably the most important thing. It doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't matter how your hair looks that day or if your makeup is done or what clothes you're wearing. But if you are confident in your personality and if you are confident in who you are and in what you look like, then that is the sexiest thing. Again, it comes down to that laid back thing. If you are laid back enough that even if you don't have everything completely done up, you still feel good about yourself, you still know that you are kind of a great person to be around and you are beautiful, then that is sexy.
But again, this energy that like, just be so laid back. It's weird. Being a pick-me is like genuinely bad for your mental health, especially because this is like essentially a fundamental rejection of who you are as a person. If you're carrying this energy into the room every time you go on a first date or you're trying to find a partner or whatever, this can communicate to you on a subconscious level that like the way that you are is inherently bad. And as soon as someone finds out about the way that you really are, they're going to run away from you, which is not helpful and also a problem. I think one of the other things that's important to address here is that especially in context where this culture breeds a very patriarchal and misogynistic attitude towards women, this can very much turn into a slippery slope for abuse and invalidation. This is a common phrase that people will use when they gaslight you, the like, you're being too sensitive, you take stuff too seriously, how come you can't just be more chill, right? And that can turn into abuse very quickly. In the right context or like environment, that is abuse, right? Telling somebody that. And so I do want to encourage people, not only because like this is embarrassing and devaluing of who you are as a person, but also because uplifting this culture that normalizes this as an okay thing to do can very much lead to people ending up in abusive relationships and feeling powerless to leave because this has become a normalized context in our relationship, right? I chop off bits of myself. I suppress my needs. I sacrifice. I am the martyr for you. And so like, why would I be allowed now to have needs or wants or to stand up for myself? And so this can, again, become a very dangerous thing. And I just like, top to bottom, take fucking issue with the way that she's presenting this.
4 is be straightforward. I think that a woman who knows what she wants and who can speak to it and knows her views, but also can talk about her feelings openly and doesn't try to beat around the bush or be passive aggressive, that's a very sexy thing because
like, did her husband write this video outline? Like, did Ben Shapiro write this in her diary or something? Like, I don't understand why this video got made. It just really reads as like her parroting the ideas that her brother or her husband think are good about women.
Oh, women do that. A lot of women are passive aggressive. A lot of women don't speak their minds. The truth is a lot of men are passive aggressive too. But there's something very sexy about women and men when they can actually just speak honestly and be straightforward and say what's on their mind. Because you don't have to be constantly stressed about trying to figure out what that person is saying. You don't have to be like, what do they mean?
Okay. First of all, I don't necessarily disagree that passive aggression is never a good thing, right? It's important that all of us as human beings, regardless of our gender identity or expression, practice our communication skills so that we can effectively communicate what I want, what I need, what my limits are, etc., right? But labeling this, first of all, as a way to be sexy is a problem. We should want to work on our communication, our boundary setting, our like ability to advocate for ourselves, for us, for our own safety, for our own value, because we deserve it, not because you're hoping to trap some man into being in a relationship with you. Also, too, as if that's like our greatest achievement as people is to like snatch a man. Like, ew, gross. That's embarrassing. But also, again, this like stereotype of like women being indecisive and being like playing games and whatever. Yuck. This reads straight out of like the Pick Me handbook. And it's just, again, it's problematic and embarrassing and shitty for all the reasons we've already mentioned.
What do they mean? No, you just get it because they're telling you. And that gives you a sense of security that's very sexy. And
okay, also too, I want to address something else really quick. Yes, is it important that we work through unlearning passive aggression? Absolutely, yes. However, is it a thing that we should do for our partner's sake? No, because the reality is that even if you are actively struggling with having a passive aggressive way of communicating, that's your stuff to work on, right? And it's not your partner's job to like read in between the lines. It is so entirely okay for you to just be upfront and honest, especially in a committed relationship that's been existing for a long time. Like, hey, I'm trying to unlearn this. You know, like maybe my parents didn't model good communication when I was a kid. Maybe I've been in abusive relationships in the past, so I don't know how to be clear and upfront. So I'm working on it. And also that your partner's work in that is to not do the mind reading thing, right? To be like clear that like, I recognize that maybe there's some passive aggression in the room right now. I'm going to remove myself from this conversation because I want you to be clear in communicating with me. So I'm going to give you some space to work through that. But like, I am letting myself off the hook for doing the mind reading thing, right? When we uplift this dynamic as like a thing that exists, the problem that I take with this is that it takes two to tango, right? Yes, we should unlearn our passive aggression, and also your partner, if they're like feeding into this passive aggression while you're trying to unlearn that, is also being unhelpful, and that's a choice that they're making. Your partner reading into your passive aggression is still participating in some way. They're not some helpless victim in this circumstance, right? They're still participating in this situation. So like, this feels very misogynistic. Like, no, women just trapping men in their passive aggression. And like, no, this is a communication issue that all sides have some responsibility to work through and to own.
I know that sounds weird because security doesn't seem to go with being sexy, but the idea is, again, it comes to that feeling of being laid back. You can be more laid back when the person you're interested in, when the person you're married to is straightforward, is able to just tell you what they're thinking. Okay, so here's kind of the interesting thing about this laid back idea. The reason that being laid back is sexy is because sex is more fun when people are relaxed. Sex is more fun when people are able to just go with it and have like a good time. If you are stressed out, if you are type A, sex is not going to be as fun. So that's why this laid back quality that is kind of a through line through everything I'm talking about is what's going to be sexy.
There is such a key difference between being someone who's go with the flow, just like generally a chill person, and being someone who regularly on purpose disavows your wants and needs for the comfort of men. The problem that I take with this is that her perpetuating this as a norm, first of all, uplifts the idea that women advocating for what they want, for their own pleasure, for their own needs in the bedroom is so inconvenient and is so neurotic. But also because, again, this is like tiptoeing into like violence against women territory so quickly. It really feels like this whole video is an instruction manual about how to not cause your partner to hate you, right? Which this is like a whole thing. I could write a dissertation about the issues in toxic cis-het relationships where men don't really seem to value or like women all that much, so much as they enjoy being inside of female genitalia. That's a conversation for a different day, or being inside vulvas, I guess, anyways. But the issue that I take with this is that it just feels like the subtext here is that women advocating for themselves is unsexy, right? Which is fucking abusive. Like, that's a fucking problem. This is dangerous. On top of the fact that it's embarrassing and shitty and like a fucked up value to perpetuate, it's actively dangerous to people.
That's why. Last but not least is number 5, which is retain some mystery. When I think it's an interesting thing because when I say all of the things I've talked about, it's very straightforward, right? It's very confident and sharing your thoughts and your feelings, being very open. And I think a lot of the time people think of sexy as mysterious, as like you're not really open and you're not really sharing what you're feeling, and it's kind of like film noir in a sense. But the truth is that mystery is not sexy beyond like day 2. It's okay up until then, but then after that it's just stressful. There are some things though that you should retain some mystery about. For example, not going to the bathroom in front of each other. My husband and I have been married for 5 years, and I still don't use the restroom in front of him. I just would never do that. That's not something he ever needs to see, and I think that retains some sexiness between us because there are some things that are like, I don't really want to see my wife doing that. Fair enough. I don't really want him to see me doing that, and it just makes it a little bit too casual.
Oh my God. This is the other thing about this norm that is so confusing to me, is there's this attitude that you should be straightforward, be laid back, be so chill and cool, but also don't be embarrassing. Don't be too much. Don't let them see too much. This whole video has the energy that like if you don't do everything exactly perfectly, and play this game of 5D chess in your relationship, that your partner will run away. which is so sad. Like, don't get me wrong, there is very much a conversation to be had about like do's and don'ts and like best practices in terms of dating, attracting a partner, or like finding a partner, I guess. But this idea that there is like a series of calculated moves you can make to trick this man into marrying you is so confusing. This is inherently anti-feminist, and also plays into this dynamic that like men don't actually want to be married to women, and the way that you can get them to like you best is like by essentially emulating a man. Yikes, Abby. Like, this is super weird, and it's also, I think, saying a lot more about your relationship than it is about anybody else. This is just, yuck. On top of that, I want to encourage people to just like full reject advice like this that has this like very prescriptive attitude about like never pee in front of your husband. Like, who cares? If you want to pee in front of your partner, pee in front of your partner. If you don't want to, don't. That's your own decision to make about your own boundaries, your own privacy. But acting as if your partner watching you urinate is going to just single-handedly suck all of the sex out of your marriage is simply not true. Also, some people are into that, you know? So like, I just really don't understand why we're making this like very prescriptive choice for other people's relationship that, first of all, affects her exactly 0%. But second of all, is like not true in all cases and carries this implied meaning that makes no sense.
And it does remove that element of sexiness that is important to like being attracted to one another. So retaining some mystery, stuff like that, I can probably give more examples, but we'll use that one for today, is important to being a sexy woman. So those are my 5 ways that you can be sexy that have nothing to do with the way that you look. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What other ways?
I will not. Okay, we're not going to watch the rest of this video, but the last thing that I want to talk about is that in some ways, like I do want to humanize the pick-me thing. I think it's important to contextualize this in the sense that being a pick-me is sometimes like a sort of desperate grab to create a sense of safety or security, especially with like this misogynistic and patriarchal culture that devalues and is sometimes violent to women, right? So like I can't humanize the desire to do this, but the thing that's important to remember is that there's no amount of pick-me energy that will cause a person who is fundamentally committed to seeing you as an object and as less than to value you as not an object and as a human being who's worthy of respect and autonomy all on your own, right? This attitude that like I can just sort of disavow parts of myself and reject like femininity or like, you know, these like stereotypically toxic girly traits, it carries this message. I lost my train of thought, so I don't remember what I was saying. But the thing about this that's important to remember is that this attitude of like disavowing parts of yourself or like femininity or like stereotypical toxic girly things or whatever will not win you favor in the way that you think it will, especially in this culture where men view women as objects, as things to be consumed, as fundamentally less than. It may win you favor for a certain time and you may experience a positive feedback for that, but eventually in this culture, women age, right? Women become mothers, women have less time, women become less sexually available, and it's a lot harder to be chill and cool when you have like 3 kids under 5 and dinner on the stove and laundry that needs to get done and in-laws that are coming to town and a husband who's sitting on the couch playing video games, right? There is a limit to the amount of chillness that a person can have at a certain point, especially in this culture where men are basically just given carte blanche to treat women as objects. And so at that point, then it is entirely possible that that person will find you disposable, essentially. This attitude that you can like pick me your way into a long-term happy relationship is just simply a fallacy. That's not true. And especially when it comes coupled in this culture that views women as objects and as less than, it puts you in a very dangerous position and also a position that will disadvantage you eventually. This is very much the like trying to appease the oppressor to win favor. And the problem is that they don't actually fucking care about you. People who want you to write off parts of yourself or to disavow fundamental parts of your humanity are not people who actually fucking like you. They're people who want to use you, and you deserve so much more than that. Ideally, when we're talking about finding a long-term partner, we should be looking for ways that our like puzzle pieces align. And I don't mean that in a sexual way, but in the sense that like we all have our own unique intricacies and like likes and dislikes and hobbies and whatever. And the work in finding a partner is not in trying to like trap some hapless man into being with you because you cooked him a really good meal and you're just so chill. It's in finding someone who genuinely aligns with your life vision, with your goals, your values, the things that matter to you, your interests, your sense of of humor, your sexual chemistry, all of these things that make up a like healthy, happy relationship, and not in trying to like manipulate each other to play chess to force them to stay with you. I really want to encourage people to remember that if you're carrying this attitude into dating, that like my goal is to try to like make them like me for long enough before they try to leave or whatever, or like trap them before they realize I'm so shitty that they want to leave or whatever. This is not helpful. This is fundamentally mean to yourself, but also this is not going to lend itself to long-term relationship satisfaction. What we know about healthy relationships from the research is that two people or multiple people who go into a relationship being honest and clear about themselves, that possess some level of healthy communication and emotional intelligence, can very much work through lots of conflict and difficult periods of time in life if they are committed to one another, if they have all of these things that align with each other, and they're willing to treat each other as equals, who respect one another, who empathize with one another, who can make an effort to put themselves in your shoes. None of this is that. Like, this is very much like a sort of reverse pickup artist thing, and it's just, this is all bad. So dislike, don't enjoy this. Abby Shapiro has clearly done no learning. I don't think it comes as a surprise to anybody that I'm not just about the content that she's putting up her channel, but I checked it the other day just to see like what she's putting out, and yeah, it's real bad. So if you like the video, subscribe to the channel. We do talk about stuff like this, but we also talk about fun pop culture stuff, so I'd love to have you stay for that. And then share the video to help the channel grow and to help each other grow, and I will see you guys next Saturday. Okay, bye.